Hey, what's up? Ed Grant Young here with Framing Life Productions, and today I want to talk about my documentary. Boom, right there. Rhetoric, all talk, no action. And one of the things I want to talk about is I want to talk about a question that I get asked a lot during the process of making this documentary. Obviously, you kind of show off that you're making a movie. That's pretty exciting stuff. But one of the questions that comes with that is, why are you making a documentary? Or another one is, how did you get into it? So I want to answer both of those questions. How did I get into it, and why? The reason why I made this documentary, Rhetoric, All Talk, No Action, first of all, is a documentary that we set out to basically find the root causes of gun violence and real solutions to that gun violence. There's plenty of movies out there. Michael Moore has made a few movies, and other people have made movies, but I think Michael Moore is probably the more well known filmmaker out there that's made gun movies. Bowling for Columbine, but our documentary is different in the way that when I set out to make this movie, I looked at this process in a very unique way, in the sense that I am involved in the gun industry. I full disclosure, I own the largest handgun training company in the state of Colorado, but I didn't want to make a pro-gun documentary. It's very easy for me to go out there and make a pro-gun documentary. There's people already out there that are making short films or that are making videos that are pro-gun. And again, like I mentioned, you've got people like Michael Moore who are making what I believe to be anti-gun documentary. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just basically show the facts, present what is there. And in my opinion, that's what's lost in a lot of these documentaries. There's too much bias. There's too much opinion in it. And I get it. It's your film. It's your movie. But you're only reaching a certain amount of people with that. What I wanted to do is highlight a real issue that we do have here in the United States. And you don't have to be anti-gun or you don't have to be pro-gun to understand that there's a gun violence issue here in the United States. I think if you're on the pro-gun side and you say, no, there's no gun violence issue, then I mean, you really do have to wake up to that and understand that there is. But I also didn't want to do, like I mentioned before, a pro-gun video, because I'm only going to reach a certain amount of people, and people who already think like me to a certain degree. If you get to know me, you understand that I'm not what you think I am. I'm pretty unique. But anyways, so I wanted to make a documentary that simply highlighted the real issues behind gun violence. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the inner city. I grew up with gun violence. I've been shot at myself. My brother's been shot at. So I have a unique perspective in that sense. I'm involved in the gun industry, but at the same time, I've been on the tail end of gun violence. So I wanted to make a movie, a documentary that highlighted that, the issues, but also tried to find the solutions to that gun violence. It's easy to just point out the problem, but if you don't give a solution, then I mean, in my opinion, then at that point, are you really doing anything for what you're talking about? So highlighting the real issues, not just the rhetoric, not just what you see on TV, not just what you hear politicians talk about. And then the other thing is, how did I get into it? I'm not a filmmaker. I was never supposed to be a filmmaker. I guess I am now a filmmaker, but I was never a filmmaker. So how I got into this is, again, there was a lack of real knowledge out there about gun violence. So I wanted to present that in a different way. I had approached a few other people, and I wanted to talk to news outlets about it, and nobody really wanted to pick up on what I was saying. So I did what I felt was the next best thing, is create your own message and put it out there. Make that movie. No real filmmaking experience, not a huge budget, really not a budget at all. But this movie traveled Went out to Philly, went to Compton, went to New York, went to the south side of Chicago. Did a lot of filming here in Colorado. Boom! I don't know if you noticed that. Boom! You can tell where I'm from. But that's kind of how I got involved with it. Is I got this idea. I seen a lack of message there, and I just went for it. I just went for it. There was no real thought process behind it. I didn't have a storyboard. I didn't have people financing it. In fact, I really sucked at trying to get this movie financed. I did a couple Kickstarters. I made less than $1,000 in that stuff, and a big thanks to the people who did support it. But I made less than $1,000 in both of these Kickstarters, not Indiegogo campaigns, and boy was I discouraged at that point when you throw it out there to a few thousand people and you still make not even $1 a person. Because my database is pretty extensive. I mean, I've got maybe over 20,000 people that I can email, and I still didn't make over $1,000 in these Indiegogo campaigns. So it's kind of discouraging. I have friends who are in the filmmaking industry. I asked them for a few pointers, but it wasn't anything major. It was just a couple messages on Facebook, and that's about it. But ultimately, I wanted to tell my story. Ultimately, I wanted to get this message out, and yeah, I mean that's kind of a little bit of why and a little bit of how I did it. Why am I making this video right now? I guess I'm just trying to encourage people out there that if you've got an idea and nobody really is out there doing it, you got several options. Is you can try and go pitch it to someone who has experience making movies, a small production company, a filmmaker, a director, and hope that they're as passionate as you are about the subject. Hope that they're as passionate about the story as you are. Chances are, in my experience anyways, and maybe I'm pretty cynical about this, but chances are you're not going to find somebody out there that is as passionate as you are about the story that you're trying to convey, about the story that you're trying to tell. So if I were to give you any advice on this, is just do it. And I'm going to make more videos about this, about my process, because I was a one-man show. So I'll talk a little bit about the process and how I went about filming and audio and setup and all that stuff. But if you've got a unique story and you want to tell it and nobody else is telling it, just do it. I mean, you're going to start thinking about, well, what about my finances? What about who's going to fund this? You know what? Joey Diaz said this the best, and I'm actually going to just play the clip. It's not safe for work, so if you've got this pretty loud, there's going to be some cussing going on right now. But if you're worried about finances, if you're worried about how am I going to fund this project, here's what Joey Diaz, and I agree with him, here's what Joey Diaz has to say about it.
Got nothing but heart. Who gives a fuck about the budget when you got heart?
So it really doesn't matter what your budget is. If you're passionate about it and if you want to tell this story, you'll find a way to do it. You don't need expensive equipment. I did a video about that the last go around, and I'll link it down below so you can watch that, or you can just skim through the channel and watch that there. But be passionate about something, just do it. Quit making excuses. If you've got a story to tell, just tell your story. Just like I did. I'm not unique. I'm not any more special than you are. We're all composed of the same thing. Just get off your ass and just do it. If you want to tell the story, tell your story. But yeah, that's a little bit about how I got started in the whole filmmaking thing, and that's why I'm making a documentary. Hopefully it interests you. Hopefully this video was useful. If anything, it kind of helps you understand a little bit what this channel is all about. It's not just about showing off commercials that I've made before, which I will do. Small business commercials, I'll put them on this channel as well. But I want to encourage other filmmakers or people who are just starting to just get out there and just do it. But anyways, hit the subscribe button. Subscribing costs you obviously absolutely nothing, just a little bit of your time. Click that button. Like this video. If you give it a thumbs down, I give you a thumbs down. So give it a thumbs up, like the video, comment down below if there's anything you want me to talk about. Please share this. I'm barely starting to get into the groove of things, and I'll talk about my struggles with making these type of videos. I'll talk about that in a different episode. But anyways, share this content, tell your friends about it, post it up on your Facebook page, on your social medias, your Instagrams, the whole nine. Help me out, and hopefully I can help you out. But anyways, until next time, peace.